Ted Kaczynski dead at 81. A legal fight breaks out during the Bryan Kohberger gag order hearing. Bryan Kohberger was seen in 2018 at a Handmaid's Tale, and Steve Gonzalez gives an interview to Court TV. Steve Gonzalez gives a interview to Court TV on Kaylee J. Dade. Let's find out in this episode of Let's Talk Live. Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Live. I am Bryan. I'm your host, and this is Let's Talk Live podcast. Tried a little bit of something different today, like kind of a news spot. I botched it a little bit, but I'm going to try to get it better next time. But I love just doing like a little overall topic run. Maybe I'll perfect it a little bit more. What happened was I started hearing my voice up on the screen in the replay, and it kind of got in me, and I skipped a little bit, had to dial up the modem and get my brain back here. But want to welcome everybody into the chat. Looks like everybody said they got my notifications tonight, which is good, and glad that everybody's here. I see the chat is filling up, and we have an action-packed, lot of stuff to go through this evening. First story we're going to pull up right away. Let's get right into the showsy bows. Unabomber Ted Kaczynski died by suicide in prison medical center, AP source says. Let's get into it. Ted Kaczynski, known as the Unabomber, who carried out a 17-year bombing campaign that killed 3 people and injured 23 others, died by suicide. 4 people familiar with the matter told the Associated Press. Kaczynski, who is 81 and suffering from the late stage cancer, was found unresponsive in his cell at the Federal Medical Center in Buettner, North Carolina, around 12:30 a.m. on Saturday. Emergency responders performed CPR and revived him before he was transported to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead later Saturday morning. The police told the AP that they were not authorized to publicly discuss Kaczynski's death and spoke to the AP on the condition of anonymity. Kaczynski's death comes as Federal Bureau of Prisons has faced increased scrutiny in the last 7 years following the death of wealthy financier Jeffrey Epstein, who also died by suicide in a federal jail in 2019. So the Unabomber Ted Kaczynski died by suicide in prison. And good riddance. See you later. Have a good, I don't want to say have a good rest, but one less person, right? One less scumbag. So wanted to open up the show with that topic. How is everybody doing? I hope everybody had an amazing weekend. Let me just do a little housekeeping here, and we'll get a little bit more into the show we go. All right. So we had some very interesting couple interesting days here in the Bryan Kohberger case. We had the gag order hearing, and right now that is going to remain in place by Judge, and he's going to give an answer to that at a later date. I believe the document said it was 9 days. He may have to answer. I'm sorry, I may be wrong on that, but I know that he will be following up with the answer on the gag order. It was a very interesting day in court for Bryan Kohberger, because what we basically had during that hearing was his defense essentially didn't say anything, and you had Shannon Gray, who's the attorney for the Goncalves family, and you had the prosecution get up and basically have a fight during this legal hearing about keeping the gag order in place. Now, the prosecution wants it in place, the defense wants it in place, but Shannon Gray, the Goncalves family attorney, wants it to be lifted. So you basically had two things going on here. You had a fight for free speech, which is the First Amendment, and you had a fight in the Sixth Amendment, the right to fair trial. It was very interesting. It was a lot of back and forth with Judge, Shannon Gray, and the prosecution stood up and basically said, we need to keep this order in place so there's not any evidence that gets out there. Shannon Gray basically is arguing the point that the Goncalves family and the public should really know what's going on, what type of evidence is out there. So, that also brings up the question about cameras in the courtroom, and should there be cameras in the courtroom? And I look at some different cases over the years. You got to look at the O.J. Simpson trial. There was no gag, and let me back up a little bit. Let me back my brain up. And the reason that they're saying they don't want any cameras, or the defense doesn't want any cameras in the courtroom, is because Bryan Kohberger getting a fair trial, they feel like that the cameras being there will distract, will change the way that people act in court, maybe the prosecution, some of the witnesses, the judge, and they really don't want the cameras in there. I don't think that it's going to change anything personally, and I think the only way to really understand what's going on, that we're getting a fair trial in this without prejudice, is to have those cameras, to let the public see, to let the public know what's going on inside that courtroom. So I look back at like some cases, we look back at O.J. Simpson. There was no gag order in that, and there was cameras in the courtroom. He was acquitted. Casey Anthony, there was no gag. There was cameras in the courtroom. And, at one point, she was like the most, quoted the most hated woman in America. She was acquitted. And then you look at Jodi Arias, another case that was very publicized. No gag, cameras in the courtroom. Now, she wasn't acquitted, but she got a lesser charge in her case. So I think personally, going back and looking, I think that we do need cameras in the courtroom, in my opinion. I think that that's going to be, so again, like we can particularly look at what's going on, what's being said, what's being heard, and what the actions are of the defense, the prosecution, and the judge, and the witnesses in this case. And I think that is going to help people understand what the totality of everything that went on. Because as you know, there's been a lot of misinformation put out there by mainstream media, by social media, by average people just off the street. This has been highly affected by social media. And look, I'm covering this case, but we're sticking to the facts over here. We stick to the case files. I'm not one of these fringe channels that pop up, start saying that they had a conversation with Joe Schmo down the street, and he said he heard the family's dog and the neighbor's dog out in the field, and it whispered to a rabbit and a mouse, and we haven't done that. And again, I'm not perfect. I am 100% not perfect in all of this. I get a lot of things wrong too, but I try to do the best that I can to give good factual information. And the guests that I have on my panels, my mods, try to give the best relevant factual information when we speak. And that's in respect to the victims and the families. So again, I think that it's going to be important to have cameras in the courtroom, give transparency to the audience, to the world in general, to see what's going on properly in this case. So I do have an article that I want to bring up, talk about that. a little bit. And this is from kxly.com. And let's make sure you can see this on my screen. Perfect. Let me just enlarge this a little bit for you all. All right. So we have Moscow, Idaho, an attorney representing accused UI killer Bryan Kohberger criticized media coverage as a grotesque and twisted as he asked the judge to keep the gag order in place. Latah County Judge John Judge heard arguments about, that order all day, starting with the attorney for the Goncalves family and ending with the attorneys representing the coalition of media organizations, including 4 News Now. That order has been in place since shortly after Kohberger's arrest in late December. He could face the death penalty for the deaths of Kaylee Goncalves, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogen, and Xander Knodel. The judge said he would take all the arguments in consideration and issue a ruling in writing at a later date. The prosecution in this case also wants the order to stay in place to ensure a fair trial, but didn't go as far as to openly criticize the role of journalists. The media, quote, the media of 2023 is not a good place to go. Defense attorney Jay Weston Logsdon said, "We're trying to resolve issues, not making them worse." And the thing is that you have to understand that as we grow and as we grow as a society, and as we grow and all these other media platforms come in, I mean, you got to really look at it. And let me just, I'm going to make myself a little larger here while I speak so you all can see what I'm saying here. You know, you have to all look at, over the past 10 years, social media has had a huge influence on our society. With all of the apps that we have now, you have Facebook, you have YouTube, you have TikTok, that has hugely influenced a lot of our world, of the United States and the world. And these platforms grow, and there's so much information that's shared, and there's so much misinformation that's shared. And I think this is what is going to be something that's going to be harder as we evolve and grow as a society. I mean, everybody's in everybody's business. Everybody's talking. Everybody knows everything. Someone heard something. Someone saw something. It's being filmed. It's being recorded. So I think sometimes, it's crazy the amount of things that can be put out there. And you have so many news networks now that are saying one thing and they might hear something a little bit different over here. And that just goes with everything. That's not even just with, what we're dealing with here in Idaho. It has to do with cases. It has to do with politics. It has to do with social issues. It's crazy. There's just so much, and it overflows and overfloods. And, like I said, that's why I think it's pertinent to have cameras in the courtroom to get a clear picture of what's going on so we all can see it. The live feed is just open. We can hear it and make an assumption for ourselves based on what we're hearing as far as the evidence in this case. And like I said, I've said all along, Bryan Kohberger is innocent until proven guilty, and he will get that due date in court. He will get due process. So let me go back to the article here. I'm going to back myself out. We'll continue to read through the article. Let me get back to my better screen here. Oh, I had it. Let me go side panel here. Where was I? Let's figure it out. I'll get it at some point. Here we go. All right. So let's go back here to the article. Attorney for the Media Coalition argued that access to information makes it easier for journalists to educate and inform the community about not only about the case, but about the judicial system overall. Wendy J. Olson is representing the coalition of journalists, and she said in her experience that there are ways to mitigate potential overexposure to the potential jury pool, including change of venue, jury questioning, simply passage of time. Olson also experienced in highly publicized death penalty trials. She prosecuted serial killer Joseph Duncan in 2008. Duncan kidnapped and killed members of the Kohberger family that captivated Idaho and the nation in 2005. By the time Duncan went on trial 3 years later, Olson said they had Idaho jurors who have never heard of the case. Logsdon disagrees and assured that more access would lead to better credibility. If they spoke to us, they pick and choose from our statements. Logsdon said they'll continue to put on the same narrative that goes that gets them clicks and makes them money. Attorneys also argue that whether cameras should be allowed in the courtroom for the trial and future hearings. Journalists again argue that it allows the community to see the justice system in action without a filter. And I completely agree with that. The prosecution said they respect the judge's discretion in the case, but the concerns about the jury or witnesses being prejudiced by coverage during the trial. The defense had concerns on how cameras have been used so far, specifically pointing out that Kohberger has been shown excessively, and people have used that to comment on his body language to villainize their client. Judges in Idaho have broad discretion to limit cameras and provide perimeters of coverage, including limited who can be shown and whether or not cameras can zoom in. We don't have any trust that this can be done right, Logsdon said. Judge said he never denied cameras in the court, but that in this case, it's different. He said the problem is not with the cameras, but what the media does with the video and photographs. Judge will also issue his discretion about cameras at a later date. I don't know. I don't know where I have no idea what Judge is going to do in this case. I'm having a feeling right now that he may be leaning towards not allowing cameras in the courtroom. And I think that's going to be, for me, it's going to be a problem because I want to see what's going on. I want a visual representation of what's going on inside that courtroom. So hopefully he will, consider letting that. This is such a highly publicized case. There's so many opinions on other sides. There's been so much misinformation put out there. There's been good, relevant information put out there. We have legal documents to look over and speculate over and make our alleged opinions. But I think this will set the record straight for everybody to look at. And you know what? And some people may not agree. Even if this trial concludes on either way, if Bryan Kohberger walks or Bryan Kohberger is guilty, I still think there will be people on both sides that will never conclude. And it's just going to be a long, weird trial. This is going to be a lot of motions. I think this is going to be a long trial. It's going to be a huge legal battle. I think it's going to be rough against all the attorneys that are involved. A lot of fighting back and forth, a lot of hearings, a lot of motions. And, I don't think this thing is going to take off. I don't think it's going to be in October. I think this will be 2024 by the time we see this trial take place. So it only remains to be seen. And that's how I feel thus far. So moving along, Bryan Kohberger was seen in 2018 at a Q&A of Handmaid's Tale. And I saw this photo of him kind of sitting in an audience with kind of a panel of women in the audience. And I was like, is this photograph like staged? So I kind of started to look into it a little bit more, and I came up with some evidence that kind of said that he was there. And I just found it was very strange. If you don't know what Handmaid's Tale is, it was a TV series. It was an American dystopian television series created by Bruce Miller based on the 1985 novel of the same name by the Canadian author Margaret Atwood. The series was ordered by the streaming service Hulu as a straight-to-series order of 10 episodes, for which production began in late 2016. The plot features a dystopian following a second American Civil War, within a totalitarian society subjects fertile women called handmaids to childbearing slavery. So very interesting thing that you would think is odd that he would be at. But again, let's bring this up. This is from one and only, everybody's favorite, Banfield, and we'll play this Banfield and News Nation.
As we're all talking about this, and as this goes to court tomorrow, today something very weird happened. Photo kind of out of nowhere from 5 years ago from a magazine called NCC Magazine, Northampton Community College Magazine. 2018, Lecture and Q&A with famed author Margaret Atwood. Isn't that a nice picture? Except for that whole business about the guy who's seated in the front row clutching his copy of The Handmaid's Tale. It's kind of like a sea of women who went to this, predominantly feminist author's lecture, and Bryan Kohberger took a front row seat, smiling, has picture taken right there beside, right there. You can see it underneath the banner that says Northampton Community College. That's Margaret Atwood standing right there in the middle. It's just all very weird. But he did graduate from that school that year. He got his degree in arts and psychology. And if you have read or if you have seen The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu, it's about a futuristic society where women produce children for the ruling class, kind of like slave women. Not good when you are convicted or when you are accused, years later, 5 years later of.
Let's stop this for a second. We're going to recognize this new member. Robert has become a new member of the channel. Thank you so much for becoming a member. If you want to join the memberships, you can go down there and smash the join button. My membership started $1.99. It's less than a cup of coffee, and it supports the channel from here on out. We're at 99 likes right now. I get about 359 people watching. Go and smash that like button. Let's get this stream out into the algorithm. They love likes. They love likes, guys. I'm loving it. And maybe if we get to 200 likes tonight, I'll give away a free membership. And I'm going to work on some new member only material. I have some things in the background here that I'm kind of thinking about. So special members only material coming soon. But let's get to 200 likes. I'll give a free membership that gives you access to all of my membership videos that are just for members only and my members only streams. So when we get up to 200 likes, I'll give away. All right, let's keep playing through here on Banfield.
Murdering.
Appreciate everybody for hanging out this evening. All my new subscribers, all the people that come in, check out the live chats. I appreciate it.
Women and a man. I want to bring in Caitlin Becker on this, the senior reporter for thedailymail.com, because I'm still trying to figure out how this all came to being. How did this picture surface? Who took it? Who found it? It's just kind of so random.
Well, Ashley, like you said, it was part of this magazine for the community college where Bryan attended and where this speech and Q&A was held. And like most things, it popped up on Reddit. Kind of out of nowhere. I think, people go back through some of their archives and then they suddenly find the connections with something you probably looked at 100 times and never thought was important. But here it is. And there he is in the very front row of, I think, an unexpected place to be. I think a lot of people were surprised when they saw this, that he was there, but there is a part of me that just isn't shocked when I saw this. Everything that I know about Bryan Kohberger, based on the people that we've spoken to who know him, he is sort of the height of hubris. I think he's a little bit arrogant when it comes to his intelligence, so I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't necessarily agree with Margaret Atwood, if he still would have been sitting front row in that Q&A. And so I think either way, I'm not surprised he's there.
I wonder what that 90-minute Q&A was like, and if he spoke up. We don't know that yet. Nobody's been able to pop out from, the sea of faces there. Nobody's reported out as to whether they remember him speaking. Although because he's one of the only dudes in the audience, it would be memorable for sure. And to that point, there have been a lot of people who've pointed out the fact that he is one of only 2 or 3 dudes. It is a very unusual place for a man who is, who's got a reputation at this point. Colleagues at the University of Washington State, they said, he was quite misogynistic.
Titanium built in the chat. What's going on, Titanium? I've been checking out some of your stuff lately. I haven't had much time to watch a lot of YouTube channels. I'll be honest with you. I work like 60 hours a week. I come over here and try to get my own material together, but I've been checking out your streams lately. If you all haven't gone over and check her out, go over and give her a like. I'm sure that you all know who she is. Check her channel out. We're both on the race to 10,000 subs. We got to get everybody over there. 10,000 subs for Titanium, 10,000 subs for Let's Talk Live. We'll get that done. But yeah, go check her channel out. I'm sure you all in the chat have done that. Big shout out to her over there. Check her out.
Towards his female students, that he graded them lower, that he was tougher on them, and that he was just, altogether slightly rude to them. So this is very uncomfortable, seeing this.
It is. It definitely is uncomfortable. And it's interesting, Ashley, as just this week, his legal team has filed documents to have cameras out of the courtroom in this trial. One of the reasons they're citing is that when we see things about him, we dissect his body language. And they're right. I could not help but dissect the body language of the woman sitting next to him, who is very clearly leaning away from him in this photo. You can read into that as much as you want, but it did strike me as being a little odd considering everything.
Yeah, I want to bring this up. Tina's saying, and I don't know when Tina came in, but we talked about this. Cameras in the courtroom. You look at O.J. Simpson, no gag order. Cameras in the courtroom, acquitted. Kaczynski Anthony, the most hated woman in America at the time, no gag order. Cameras in the courtroom, acquitted. Jodi Arias became, at that time, the most hated woman in America. Now, she wasn't acquitted, but she was found of a lesser charge. So cameras need to be, I'm going to state it right now. I'm going to say it right now. Cameras need to be made in the courtroom for Bryan Kohberger's trial. We need transparency. We need to see what's going on, and we need to hear everything. Like I said, there's a lot of bad and misinformation put out there. We need to sort all of this and figure out the facts. Figure out the facts. That's what we're about here, is finding the facts. And if Bryan Kohberger is innocent, then we need to continue to investigate and find out who did this. Find out who did this. All right, let's keep playing through.
Everything we know about how he interacts with women. We, of course, have that story from the brewery owner in Pennsylvania who had claimed that they had to have a conversation with Bryan because he was being a little creepy and aggressive toward female staffers and bar patrons. There was the girl who said she had a date with him some 7 years ago and said that it was so uncomfortable and awkward, not aggressive, but just so uncomfortable that she fake vomited in order to end the date early. So there haven't been any real positive stories about him and other females that have come out. So to see him sitting front and center with a group of presumably feminists.
If you all get to 200 likes, I'm going to give away a free membership tonight. 200 likes will get a free membership. I'm working on getting some members only material together for members only. So you get some sneak previews, some stuff. I'm working on some things, believe me, behind the scenes. I want to get more of my members involved and get them some free content. So
supporters of Margaret Atwood, a feminist writer, is there's a bit of a disconnect there.
Can we put that picture up again just for a moment? Because Caitlin just mentioned that the body language of the person sitting beside him. Yeah, you're right. She does look like she's sort of leaning away from him. That is interesting. I hadn't noticed that until you mentioned it.
And Ashley, and if you look on the other side, everyone's kind of leaning inward towards Margaret Atwood and towards where the photographer is sitting, and that woman is leaning away.
Fair enough. I mean, you really can't judge the photo. It could have been a quick photo. She's kind of leaning away to make it seem like maybe she's not with him, like a boyfriend or something. I don't know. I don't know. She probably got caught by surprise when this photographer maybe jumped in and said, hey, again, we can't judge body language just based on a photo. We don't know what happened when we were there. So, maybe it's just nothing.
But it could mean nothing.
You're right. It could be nothing, but it's a great observation, and
we got something planned this week coming up for everybody. We'll get some of the mods on here, and we got a couple things that we're going to be working on over the week. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that show.
Hi, you're a great reporter. Caitlin Becker, thanks for doing this tonight.
Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you for
I try to cut those out. All right. So yeah, Handmaid's Tale, a little weird, but if that's your thing, go do it. I don't know if that's like a particular, an in to go check things out, knowing that there'd be a lot of women there. Again, I'm only speculating. Don't know at this point. Don't think it has anything relevant to this case, but just a little weird. Just a little weird. Just a little weird.
Come on, man.
All right. Let's get into this from Court TV on Kaylee JD. Steve Goncalves gave an interview to Court TV. And you know what? Before we go into this, I want to touch on this. And I'm going to bring this up. Let me straighten my camera out here, because I'm a little bothered still by something that keeps continuously coming up about the Goncalves family. There's overly what I see a lot of the comments about them is they get a lot of hate. And I don't think it's right. And we don't hate the Goncalves family on here. We completely support them. Their daughter and their daughter's best friend was brutally killed. I don't understand what people and some of the vile shit that people say about them. So I want to bring this up, and I'm going to show this because, frankly, I don't care, and it's my show, and I'm going to show it. So this was earlier today in my chat because I posted the thumbnail, and people come into the chat, and I find it funny that this has been since deleted. But this person put out in my chat, said, sounds like the Goncalves family wants their own variety show. So I have a few things to say about that. Let's leave that on the screen. Let's leave that on the screen. Sounds like the Goncalves family wants their own variety show. Let me ask you a question. If your daughter, your son, your mother, your father, or a family member that's extremely close to you was brutally murdered, what would you do? Now, listen, we've talked about this before. There are some families that like just to grieve in their own way. They go along quietly. They grieve with their family members. And there's some other families that fight and keep their story alive and keep their family member that was murdered or murdered, their story alive. And the only way to do that is to get out and be public and be in the media and be over this. And there's nothing wrong with they're doing. They want justice for their daughter. So to sit here and attack them and say they want their own variety show, if my daughter or my son was killed, which I don't have kids, so I don't know how that feels, but I lost my best friend in 1994. And it's not to the level of media that we have now. And if you haven't seen that stream, you can go back and watch it. It's titled My Best Friend Was Murdered in 1994. It's on my page. You can watch it. But we didn't have the outlets back then. We only had newspapers. And I actually took the time to scan all of the newspapers that I had about his case. And we went through it in chronological order. Now, the people that murdered my friend, and they walked. There was no justice for him. So the media now, to keep things relevant and out there as they're getting close to this trial, there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. I would be doing the same thing for my children, my children. So when people come in and they say these disgusting things, I ask you this question. Is this something that you would say to their face if they were standing in front of you? I bet you not. I bet you not. Because you know why? Because you're someone that's hiding behind a screen and you're not standing there in front of them. Now, I don't know the Goncalves family at all. Okay. I only know what I see in the media, what I've read about them, what I've seen and heard about them through corresponding emails and, that I've had with people that are in and around that area. And they seem like a really great family, a very tight-knit family. But again, I'm going to ask you, is this something that you would say in front of their face? I bet you not. I bet you not. So let's move on to the next story. So Steve Goncalves gave a exclusive interview to Court TV on Kaylee Day. We're going to get about like 7 minutes of kind of just open air until they actually get into the interview itself. But let's play this. This is on his daughter's special day. And we did do a Kaylee Jade stream here, Kaylee Jade Day stream here. If you didn't see that, you can also go back and watch that in my videos, my lives. All right, let's play this here. Like again, about 7 minutes till they really get into it, but it'll give you a little bit of a backstory of what's going on and how they got this interview with Steve.
The murders of Kaylee, Madison, Ethan, and Xana shocked the University of Idaho community. It stunned the nation, but its biggest impact was on the family.
4 more likes, I'm going to give away a free membership. 4 more likes,
of the victims, lives which have been shattered, hearts that have been broken. It is way beyond tragic. Tonight, in a Court TV exclusive, Chanley Painter rides along with Kaylee's father as he pays tribute to his daughter.
I'm going to give away free membership. Let's give away a membership, a member. We call them memberships, that Massachusetts Boston accent. Memberships. Memberships. Let's give away a membership. If we get to 300 likes, I'll give you another membership. All right, so we have a new member of the group. Let's take a look here.
Smash, smash, smash.
So Glowbug was gifted a free membership. It's 1 free month on me. If you wanted to start that back up, you can go down there and rejoin again. All right, let's keep playing through here. We get to 300 likes. I'm going to give away another membership.
On her birthday.
You go from, okay, they just told us that our babies, 2 of our babies are gone. At that moment, you feel so lost that you're like, okay, I have a million questions, but there's nobody to call. There's no pamphlet to read.
Then Chanley speaks in depth about the immense impact all of this has had on the family and how they are dealing with it.
You know, you replace the negative with the positive, and I've got lots of positives. I've gotten 2 grandbabies since this whole thing went down, and we're focusing on those girls. And
and that's the thing too, is the Goncalves family hasn't given up. They haven't folded. They haven't gone away. They've been fighting for their daughter. They've been fighting for their daughter's best friend, Maddie. They've been fighting for the other 2 people in that house, Ethan and Xana. You know, and everybody goes, well, why do you always talk about the Goncalves family? Why do you always talk about them? Because they've been the most present in the media. This is the way that they've chose to deal with this horrible situation. And the other families just choose to grieve in their own way. And if they can stand up and fight for their daughter and fight for other people that may be in this particular situation, I give them 100 praises over and over and over again. All right, let's keep playing through.
You know, we've got work to do in the future, but just one day at a time.
Tonight, we are live from Moscow, Idaho, as the families prepare for tomorrow's court hearing in the Idaho students' murder case.
I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. This hour is going to be important. It's going to be important. We cover murder trials a lot here at Court TV, a lot. And sometimes...
We're going to break 6,800 subs tonight, guys. We're going to break 6,800 subs. I only need 3 more subs to get me to 6,800. If you haven't subbed already, go down there, smash the subscribe button, and hit and turn that bell notification on. So every time I go live, you all will know. I'm trying to regulate my schedule. I used to come on Sunday, Tuesday. I forgot all the days that I came on, but I'm trying to get a 4-day schedule. My work schedule, my career schedule has been ridiculous lately. So I'm trying to get back on a more regulated schedule. But as you know, I do right now I'm doing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. Those are my solid nights. And I'm trying to get back to doing 1 weeknight a week. All my streams start at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So just look for the tile. You'll get the notification. I always go over on my community tab as well. And I'll let you know when I'm going to go live. And I usually post that early in the morning. You can also follow me on Twitter at Let's Talk Live. YTC. I just changed my Twitter handle, and I have a Facebook group as well. All my links will be down in the stream after this video post. Let's keep playing through here, guys.
What gets lost in everything that happens is what's really happening.
Sorry.
The loss. And in the case of what happened in Idaho, I mean, it's unspeakable. It's really unspeakable on many different levels. But to me, it always comes back to these young people, this group of young people. I look at them, it's like you're looking at the cast of Friends or something, right? That, you know.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the love over the last couple of months. I appreciate everybody in this chat, all the members, all the subscribers, all my moderators, all the people that have contributed and helped this channel so much. I could not do it with all of you. We try to keep it positive over here. We don't get wrapped up in the politics. We don't get wrapped up in all that other stuff. We got serious topics that we need to cover. We have to give the correct facts. We keep it fact-based here, and I appreciate all of you for coming here for fact-based information. Again, I am not 100% right. My moderators are not 100% right, but we try to do the best we can. We try to find justice in these cases and give voices to these victims. So Thank you all so much. I would never thought that I'd be here. You know, I'm looking up today, probably one of my biggest lives ever. I think we cracked over 600 people at one point, and it's just really cool. It's really cool. I work so hard on this channel. I pour my heart and soul into it every episode that I do to go live and try to give the best presentation here. So I really appreciate everybody for taking the time to come over here and watching the lives. And I know you all can't watch every single night, but I appreciate it when you all can come over here and join. Thank you so, so much.
They're doing things together. They're young. They're full of energy. They're full of life, and they're ready. They're getting ready to make their mark. And college is supposed to be that time when you start to figure things out, start to think about the future, and start to plan everything that's out in front of you. It's an amazing time. It's an amazing time. And you know, I remember, you know, you think like, where am I going to end up? Where am I going to live? What am I going to do? What's this journey going to be like? And that's the exciting part. And then when you take that journey, it's amazing. And they never got to do that.
Thank you so much.
Never got to do that. The impact of this is unspeakable as well, especially to the families. You know, I'm a parent too. And you know, you send your children, if you're able to, you send them off to college, and you know, you're always worried, right? You're always worried a little bit, but you're excited too. And the best part is they go to school, and every time they come back, they're a little bit different. They're a little bit more, you know, they're growing up, they're experiencing things, and it's exciting. It's exciting. Yeah, it's sad a little bit because they're getting big and they're growing, but it's so exciting because you know how excited they are. And that loss now, that loss that these families have suffered is forever, is forever. The loss is forever. And you have to figure out how to.
All right, we got Christine Brown is gifted a membership. We have a new member of the crew. Let's see here. New members. Yes, new members. Annie Ruler was gifted a membership by Christine Brown. Christine, thank you so much. You've been one of my hugest supporters since day one. Remember, I go back and look when there was like 4 people watching this, and it's just grown. It's just been crazy the last 3 months. You know, my life has changed in some way. You know, you all have made an impact on my life. And again, I don't think people realize sometimes how stressful it is having a YouTube channel. It's very stressful. There's a lot of things that you balance, you know, coming up with show material. You know, I got to balance my regular life offline as well. And then I got to balance my online life, you know, to put good shows together, keep people entertained, continue the support, have communication with your moderators, you know, having communication with your audience, and trying to communicate the best that I can, and just, you know, touch base with all of you. And I do, I appreciate it. It's been a lot of work, and I do pour my heart and soul into this channel, and I try to do the right things in the interest of this channel and the audience, you know. So again, enough of me ranting. I'll shut up. Let's get back to the video. I always go off on my rants.
Move on, how to continue. But you can never get away from it.
More likes I'm going to give away.
Because you'll never forget your child. You'll never forget your brother. You'll never forget your sister. Never. Chanley Painter, she's out in Idaho and doing really important work for us in speaking with the families. You know, she's been reporting on the evidence, the crime scene, the facts, the motions, the legal stuff. All of that is so significant. But what she's doing today and what you'll see tonight, to me, brings us to why it's important to shine a light on all these cases that we can. So people can really understand that when you watch a trial on court TV, or you go down to a courthouse, or if you're a juror sitting in that box, what has happened and what it really, really means. And you're going to see that tonight because she was able to spend a lot of time with Kaylee's dad. And we've seen him a lot. You know, he's been very much out there, but this is going to be different. This is different tonight. This is in a different setting. It's much more revealing,
Hey, Jones,
much
how are
more
you?
real.
Good to see you.
And I'm so glad that he
Thank you.
allowed us to see that. And I want to bring in, joining us live tonight from Idaho, Court TV legal correspondent, Chanley Painter. Chanley, great to see you tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing everything that you did today. And I know the folks at home are as well.
Who's going to sue? Who's going to sue? OCD says, but Bryan, he's going to sue everyone possible to get a payday off his daughter's death, creating generation of wealth, and that's wrong. There was a civil suit in the OJ case. Did you have a problem with that? He's found guilty in that. So you think it's wrong? Let's just say that Kohberger walks and there's enough evidence, and again, I'm just allegedly saying this, there's enough evidence to convict him in a civil trial. You think that it would be wrong for the Goncalveses to sue him? I don't think it's wrong. O.J. Simpson was found civilly wrong in his trial. He walked on his on the criminal trial, and you know what? He hasn't paid the Goldmans one fucking dime to this day, and he lives off the NFL pension. Hasn't paid the Goldmans one dime to this day. Pretty sad.
And today of all days, right? It's Kaylee's birthday.
Yeah, Vinny, what an honor it was for
Personally, I think there's going to be a lot of lawsuits come out, and that's why I say I urge creators, be very careful what you talk about, because I know the Goncalves family watches these streams.
me covering this story for months from the beginning. You know, we were on the ground to spend what would have been Kaylee's 22nd birthday with her father, her advocate, her warrior, who's been out on the front lines from day one, seeking answers and justice, not only for Kaylee, his daughter, but for Maddie, for Ethan, for Xana, for the community. And that's what today was about, honoring Kaylee's life. Someone, he said, would have loved to have been the center of attention. She was the middle child. She thrived on being the center of attention, and they wanted to honor her today by a pay it forward campaign called Kaylee Jade Day for her birthday. And he allowed us to go along with him, like you said, as he talked about who she was, what she would have been doing on her birthday, probably on a nearby lake with Maddie, celebrating her birthday. She just bought herself a new vehicle. But he told me about, of course, his favorite memories of her birthday and what he misses about her the most. Let's watch.
Kaylee, I remember her tearing up a cake and just making a big mess, getting it in her hair. So she was just so excited about when everyone was focused around her, and she was the center of attention, and everybody was giving her gifts, and she always had her friends over from school. And I have a lot of memories of when she was young and she had that crazy hairdo.
What do you miss most about her?
I miss her smile, and that she was so giving. She really wanted to be like, every morning wake up and be like, I'm gonna go get breakfast, what do you guys want? You know, I'm gonna get coffee, what do you guys want? We're a big family, so it was nice to have somebody that was always thinking about going and doing something and then helping other people along the way. So I'll always miss that, and I'll miss that smile and the hug.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he said the goal of today, and really of all of the families now and really to the future, is to make sure, do everything they can to ensure that it's the victims' names that people remember. When years from now, decades from now, they don't think of the man's name who is alleged to have murdered them, but they remember Kaylee, Xana, Ethan, and Maddie's name as the positive force and impact they had on this community and their loss had on this community, Vinny.
Yeah, I've chosen not to say the name. I do that in a lot of these stories, mass murders. And, sometimes you cover a trial, the name's going to be there. There's going to be a trial. You're going to hear it a ton of times. But I think in this case, you're going to hear those 4 names. And you're going to remember those 4 names because that's what everyone's talking about. And that's good. So let's talk about the place where you were many, many times reporting on this case, which was the crime scene, the house where they lived, which turned. I think of the house, I think of it 2 ways. I think of it one way, like here's where they all lived together and they had some good times and, they're starting to learn to be adults. They're having parties. Friends are over. And, this is it, the big last hurrah for some of them as seniors. But then it's turned into this.
Oh, my mute is on. Sorry about that. Want to give away a free membership at 300. We're at 315 right now. I got you here, everybody. Free membership, and OCD was gifted a free membership. So you got a free membership on me. Thanks for that challenge question earlier, but enjoy the free month on me. You get access to all the member content on my channel and go back and watch some of those streams. And also, if you can, smash that like button, turn on your bell notifications. All right, let's get through this
horrific crime scene. So what do the families want done with this property at this point?
Well, they would like it to be preserved, Vinny, and we know we've reported that the university now owns that property. They have plans to demolish the home this summer. I checked back in with the spokesperson of the University of Idaho today. She confirmed that to me. I asked for a specific date. She says they don't have a specific date just yet for when it is to be demolished, but she said they are working through the process. And this is what Steve told me about why they don't want anything to happen to the home.
We communicated with some other families. There's 3 families that are concerned.
Yeah, I'm cooking. It's funny. Right on Josephine says, bravo to the gift givers. Very kind and generous. Yeah, when we get to 10,000 subscribers, I'm going to mix something up. We'll do a special live scene and give away like a nice prize. So I'll think of something when we get to that 10,000 subscribers to give back to all of you for coming here, hanging out on these chats, chatting with all of us. But we'll whip up some live stream for that, a big giveaway. I'll do a big prize for that one.
With that, we're trying to make sure that that all the proper steps are done. There's audio, that from my understanding, and if there's audio, I don't understand how you could take a house down and not say that people are going to want to hear those sounds from the location of the recording from inside the house, dog barking, things like that. Mm-hmm. So we'll try to do everything, and something like that is just evidence. It's not for or against, it's just evidence. So that's why we're trying to protect it.
It's evidence to be preserved. That's his position, and it may behoove the state to keep it standing because if you're there in person, Vinny, it does make a difference to see how close this home is to the neighbor's camera that picked up the audio that she was referring to. But he also told me that at the last hearing, he spoke to the prosecutor, Bill Thompson, and the prosecutor said that this is going to be a long road for the families. They may not have all the answers for 3 years, Vinny, so this house would have to be standing for a long time in the middle of this community.
It's fascinating that he wants the house preserved as evidence for the trial because there could be a jury view. We see it in many, many cases. In the Murdaugh case, they went back to the scene. It helped the jury to figure it out. It became great evidence for the prosecution in that case, even though prosecutors didn't want to necessarily go there. Thank you, John. I am with him on that, by the way. I
appreciate you. Don says you are the most honest person I've seen on any of the channels. Thank you so much. Listen, there are many other channels out there. I don't talk about them. I don't get wrapped up in the politics. Whatever they do on their channels are their business. I don't like to go there, try to keep a clean show here, just try to do my own show and do my own thing. I don't want to get wrapped up in politics. What people choose to talk about is their own business. I just stick to here on my channel and just do what I need to do here. You know, that's it. And worry about this community. And what people are going to do on their own and what people are going to say on their own is their own thing, their own person. I can't control that. I can't control that. So, you know, what we can do here is people come in, they're rude, whatever. You know, I got mods, we time them out, we give them a chance, then we time them out. If not, we bounce them out. So, again, not the best YouTuber, but we try to keep things factual here. We do it in the best for the family and the victims. And, you know, it's all really I can say. Thank you.
I think in some states, there's like a view in almost every case, like Massachusetts, very common. So I'm with them there. They should preserve it because it is the scene. I understand the university from their perspective, but there's a criminal trial for a mass murderer, and doing everything you can to ensure a conviction should be the first priority, absolute first priority, because we know how things can go south inside a courtroom sometimes. I've seen it. Okay. Does he have any theory about the motive?
Yeah, he does, Vinny. I asked him, what's the connection? Because it's been rumored, Kaylee and or Maddie were the targets of this mass murder. He told me something I hadn't heard him or his family say before about why they think the alleged killer actually went to that home and murdered them. And remember, Maddie and Kaylee were on the 3rd floor. They were in the same room in the bed together, likely the place this murderer started. So here's what he had to say about it.
They're just two girls that were always happy, always filming. So I think maybe he just seen that happiness and there's something in him that was jealous of the fact that two people could love each other and be like the best friends. And I think that really rubbed him wrong and got him thinking about, well, why do they have this great life and I don't? And I think that's whoever he picked, that'll be the backstory is just a jealousy of their lifestyle.
I think that can be true in a lot of crime. In a lot of crime, murder is a very personal thing. I think there's some different types. There's some that happen in a spur of a moment. There's some that build up, over time and it's planned. But there could be some jealousy in this case. And I kind of understand where Steve's going with that. Maybe this person that did this, again, Bryan Kohberger is innocent right now until proven guilty, but he is the alleged person in these murders. Maybe he took a step back and looked at their lives and wanted to be maybe in that lifestyle or be next to these people or, be involved somehow. I'm sure that we've probably all done that in some way. And I'm not saying like a murderous way, but we've looked at maybe a house, for instance. I've been watching a channel lately and I can't think of the name of it, but this person goes through like these lavish homes that are like 50 million, 60 million. Not that I would want a 50 or $60 million home, but he highlights these homes and you're seeing these pools that are overlooking the ocean. You kind of picture yourself there. And I hope you guys all understand like where I'm going with this, but you want to be in that home. There was one that he covered. He did the invisible house out in the Moab desert. Moab, where the Joshua trees are. Is that Death Valley? Arizona, I think. And you can actually go there and Airbnb it. And it's like $2,500 a night. I totally would do that. This probably going to do it for a week. I couldn't afford that, but I would love to just go there for a couple days and you see yourself in that house, or I'm just kind of using a house or example, or maybe you watch a movie and you might feel like you're connected to one of the characters, or you feel like that you have a connection to that movie. I go back and watch like John Hughes films. I wasn't quite that generation. I was a little bit ahead of it, but I feel that I connect a little bit more to that. And I say, oh, the people that are in those movies remind me a lot of my friends. So, I hope you understand what I'm talking about, where I'm going with this. But, I understand, what Steve is talking about here. We got a gifted membership. Rita gifted a membership. We have a new member in the chat group. And I missed the name, but we'll just celebrate the member. Thank you so much, Rita. All right, we'll keep playing through this.
So he believes that allegedly this man was jealous of this lifestyle they were living. We know based on the affidavit, Vinny, that the alleged murderer visited this area of the crime scene 12 prior times before the murders actually took place. We know there's a lot of search warrants that are sealed in the court files of the digital trail of all types of social media, online outlets that could be revealing. We don't know everything because of the gag order, of course, but also Steve tells me he's not sure if this is the first time that this murderer allegedly did kill, but hopefully he wants those answers as soon as possible.
Yeah, Kaylee and Maddie were living their best lives. They were, and Kaylee graduating early, getting ready for a job, all these other things. Amazing stuff. All right. Now, this is
another 20 minutes in this stream. I'm going to wrap this up. I know it's getting late for everybody. I do have work very early in the morning tomorrow, but we're going to wrap this up in about 20 more minutes of this video. Let's keep playing.
Idaho,
try to get through it, and then I'll give you guys
death penalty is the law in Idaho. Prosecutors can seek it. A jury can make a decision on it. Do they support the death penalty in this case?
Absolutely, they do. He told me that's why they moved to Idaho, because it has the maximum punishment like that, Vinny. And he says the person responsible for these murders should receive the highest level of punishment. And he says there is enough evidence in this case that it's over for this guy. Let's watch. The death penalty.
So Steve says, I heard he was there picking up drugs. So I assume you're probably saying Bryan Kohberger. So here's my answer to that. And I talked about this. And I call them kids because they were kids. For 4 kids that haven't even received a moving violation, which would be like a ticket or a parking, I don't think parking ticket, but just say speeding ticket. For 4 kids that haven't even received a speeding ticket, as much as a crime is a speeding ticket, all of a sudden are drug lords and cartel lords. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Need a little bit better. Need a little bit better there.
You support it, right?
We definitely do. Yep.
And, seeing what type of families they come from. And again, allegedly, we know a little bit more about Xana's mom, allegedly. I see a very solid family here in the Goncalves family. I see a very solid family in the Chapin family, and Maddie as well. We haven't heard much about their family, but they're friends with the Goncalveses, so I probably think they're pretty stand-up people too. And again, I get people party in college and all that, and they might have done a little bit of experimenting here and there, but I just don't see the big thing about all the drugs moving through King Road. I just don't see it. People party, kids party, smoking a little weed, doing some other things. I just don't see the big cartel movement there. So I'm not going to agree with you on that one.
Part of the reason we moved to Idaho. We want a community that protects the most vulnerable, and that's something that if a father can't protect them, then you hope that the society.
And if you believe in those theories and you believe in those types of things, this might not be the channel for you. Just going to let you know. Until I can see a legal document or something comes out in court that this was a trap house, it was a drug house, it was this and that, then I'll start believing it. But right now, the evidence that we've seen in the court documents, not physical evidence, but the court documents, doesn't indicate any of that was going on. And maybe it does. Maybe some of that stuff comes out in court. I don't know, but we haven't gotten there yet. And I'm not going to talk about that stuff unless I know for sure that it's in a court document. So. Sorry.
He is willing to step up and do the right thing. So that's what we're looking for. The ultimate form of justice is that.
So Steve said he wouldn't be surprised if this defendant tries to seek a plea for a lesser sentence, Vinny, but he believes that the person responsible will actually receive the max. I mean, all the evidence is there, and they want him to be sentenced to death.
Yeah, if you're looking at mass murder, you're looking at cruel murder, face-to-face, knife, pain involved, suffering involved in all of this. I've spoken.
Yeah, again, you have to think a knife attack is very, 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 very personal. That's how my best friend was murdered, was by a knife attack. It's very personal.
To death investigators looking at the evidence that we have, seems like there's a strong argument for it. We'll see what prosecutors decide in this case. Meanwhile, the defense, they don't want the world to see this trial, do they?
They don't. We had our hands on some brand new motions from the defense team asking this judge to limit media coverage and cameras inside the courtroom. They're saying that there's numerous social media posts that have people overanalyzing this man's body language, according to the court filings, and they say that audio-visual.
Thanks for that $2.99 super sticker. Appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Straight cash, homie.
And I got to give one of these. I know everybody's been asking me lately.
Statement.
All right, we'll keep playing through here.
Coverage has just become an obsession almost of creating unfounded opinions in the media, and it's prejudicial and unfair to his right to a fair trial. And this was Steve Goncalves' response to that.
If you're not a personable person and you give off weird vibes, yeah, you probably don't want nobody to actually see the truth, see who you are, and read you for how you behave. You can't hide the truth, man. I'm so tired of the secretive and all that stuff. I want this stuff to be out in the open. There's more than enough evidence for people to make a decision, and how can the truth contaminate anything?
And of course, we know Kohberger, he's going to trial in October. Will we have cameras? Will we not? It may be brought up tomorrow in the hearings that we expect to cover in the courtroom. So far, we have cameras in there tomorrow, Vinny, about this gag order, and likely they'll bring up these other issues as well.
He just made the best argument, and I think, we should be making a court TV. Your Honor, how can the truth contaminate anything?
100%.
How can the truth? You put a camera in the courtroom, you hear the evidence. You don't hear someone saying, well, someone said this inside the courtroom, which may or may not be true. You get to see it and hear it. So how on earth does the truth contaminate anything? I love that. That is amazing. All right. Chanley's staying with us, folks. There's much, much more to this interview. Chanley drove around Kaylee's neighborhood and true insight into today. That's coming up. Plus, coming up next hour.
Another verdict day at Court TV in May.
And now we can, really kind of assess how much we lost when we lost these children.
And we're talking about Ethan, Kaylee, Madison, and Xana.
About another 18 minutes, we're going to wrap this one up, and I'll give you my final thought.
But this is what this story, this case, and this trial will be about.
Thank you, OCD. I appreciate you.
What happened to these four
Trying to do the best
young people. Chanley Painter is still with us in Idaho tonight. She spent some time, a lot of time actually, with Kaylee's father. And he did something special today to honor his daughter on her birthday.
He sure did. Today, like I told you earlier, is Kaylee Jade Day here.
Let's do this. If we get to 400 likes by the end of the stream, I'll gift away another membership. 400 likes. We need 30 more. 30 more. and I'll give away a free membership.
In the Coeur d'Alene, Idaho area. And Steve allowed me to exclusively ride along with him as he kicked off the day to pay it forward. He delivered cash to several local coffee stands, places where Kaylee and Maddie worked growing up and living here in the area, so that they could give free coffees to local customers who stopped by and inspire them to also pay it forward in Kaylee's honor for the day. He said this community has given so much to him and his family that he wanted to pay them back. Let's watch.
Plan today is we are going to go to a couple different locations. We're doing this Pay It Forward campaign, and we're actually driving her car.
I looked up and I'm like, that's Kaylee's car. Wow.
See this car is mine. She paid for it. She knew I liked Range Rovers, but I was into the diesel Range Rover. But she felt like this was a super cute car, which probably is. But that's why it's hard for me to drive it. But today we'll be driving her car, and we'll be doing these Pay It Forward. I remember for months, Christy's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And you could tear it in that birthday from being a super stressful event to something that you know that at least you're doing something to help people. Unfortunately, when something like this happens, you don't know what to do. Somebody knocks on your door, and it's real at that moment when the police officer does that. So then you go from, okay, they just told us that our babies, 2 of our babies are gone, and they give you a business card and tell you to, call tomorrow and maybe you'll get some more details. At that moment, you feel so lost that you're like, okay, I have a million questions, but there's nobody to call. All right, so we're at the Ramsey. Yep, we're at Ramsey. These guys were amazing. These guys did everything to help us. So I'm glad I'm able to them. I think I'm going to go to this first window. Hello? Hi. Hey, how's it going? Nice to see you guys. We're doing a Pay It Forward, so your meal's going to be free. You guys helped us out with fundraising. We wanted to give back to you guys.
So I have a viewer that actually reached out to me, and I can't see it right now, but the actual printed poster that Steve is handing out, they're going to get me one. They live in and around the Goncalves family. They have one, and they're actually going to mail that to me, and I'm going to frame it and put it up on my wall over here. I'm very honored to have that, knowing that it's the actual printed poster that Steve was handing out. So I'm super excited to get that. I can't wait to get it, and I'm very honored to have that. So really cool stuff. And I want to thank that viewer for reaching out to me. I've had some communication with them, and they've been very grateful in what they've shared with me. And thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Your establishment has been amazing. Thank you. Give me some. I'd give you a hug if I could.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
All right. You guys have a great day. Oh, see, they're already here. They even already had it. So I knew these were the right people. No, thank you. Like every day you wake up, you think like, well, I need to do something to help find this person. There's like a clue out there that needs to be found, and that's kind of how we were going at it. I remember feeling like this is exhausting. And then when we finally had...
I got a $5 super chat from one of my mods. AZ says, I would like to welcome little Harlow McGee into the world. Get ready, world. Here he comes. Can't wait to meet you, little buddy. All right, we have a celebration. That's awesome. And thank you for that $5 super chat, AZ. I appreciate you so much. And thank you for everything you do. Being one of my channel mods and everything that you do behind the scenes. You're a huge supporter of me and this channel, and I appreciate that. So thank you.
A suspect in the relief that you feel knowing that, okay, some answers will actually come and be answered. And that to me is one of the things that keeps you going.
Is there no sound? Someone said no sound. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Give me a Y. Can you hear me? Give me a Y. Waiting for the chat. Okay, awesome. Can you hear the video? If you can hear the video, put an X.
When it makes you, wake up every morning and know that even though you're hurting, there's gonna be some meaning. Families realize that when a case like this big goes, a lot of times they want to label it after the person who did the atrocity, and we are doing everything. All families, we've all agreed on this, to bring up stories and the memories and the narratives of our children, so then people remember our children and they don't just remember the person who acted out and did these things. That's the last thing we want them to just remember the killer and then never remember the victims.
My daughter used to work with you guys. Okay. Kaylee Goncalves. We're gonna go have a dinner. We're gonna hang out at the swimming pool. Our family's coming over, do a little barbecue. Thank you. Have a great day.
We felt like we picked a really safe state and a safe community. We left the city in California where we'd be awoken in different times of the night with sirens and shootings and things. So, and then when this happened, I was like, who in Idaho would do this? Who would be capable of doing that in our community? And I remember talking to one of the officers. We've always tried to put some emphasis on saying we appreciate all the hard work, everything that they've done, and we know that we would not have justice without those men and those women. We were just in the court, a few weeks ago, and we got a little bit of time to talk to Thompson, and Thompson was, he said, it could be 3 years before you guys have any answers, and I was just like, wow, that's hard to hear. So,
What would you most like answered?
I want to just see the evidence, really. I just want them to come out and say, this is our case before, this is what they got to prepare for. I mean, they have it, so let's just bring it out. I don't understand how that can be the truth. How can that be something that's going to contaminate a drink?
Yeah, here's we're gonna start to pay it forward for.
Oh, you're awesome. People have already started.
All right, well, thank you. I'm glad they didn't have to wait. You guys have a great day. Great job.
Thank you, guys. See you guys.
My knowledge about, hearing about the Goncalves family through a few people that I've talked that live in and around that community. They're very well known. They're very present in the community. There's a certain place that they like to go and eat and hang out. Just really overall great people. And I just find it terrible that people, come into these comments, come on these live chats and trash this family for sticking up for their daughter. I just don't understand that. And that really bothers me. It 100% bothers me so much. And I think that I missed a super sticker, and I apologize. Ellie Ann, I think, sent up a super sticker. Let me go back. Oh, cool. When you miss them now, they post them, which is awesome. So Ellie Ann, thank you so much for that 199-pound super sticker. I appreciate you so much for the support. We're going to get this stream wrapped up here in about the next 15 minutes and then roll out. I'll give you my final thought on everything here. Thank you so much.
I want to make them a part.
Like that subscribe button, smash that bell notification. So every time you know that when I go live, you'll know. All right,
Of this whole thing, because it spreads the news, spreads kindness, and when the most ugliest things happen to you, you either can become ugly or you can spread some kindness, and that's what we're going for. And that's what these girls would have wanted us to turn this into something that made us happy and stronger.
And Vinny, one of those coffee stands, Renee's on Ramsey, where I was live before the weather became precarious. We had to move inside now, but they gave away over 100 coffees and meals today. And they said that people were so inspired that they started donating cash as well, where they're going to be able to pay Steve back for what he donated, plus a lot more for the families. So the Goncalves family hopes that this tradition, of course, continues every year in honor of Kaylee's birthday.
It really struck a chord with me is when Steve was talking about moving to Idaho and why he moved there. Every time my family's moved, right, you have to pack everyone up and go somewhere when you're in our business, and you're moving to a new area. You scout the area and you say, all right, where's the safest place? What's the safest street in the safest community? And I so much relate to what he did. And he did everything out of the city. And cities are fine, but he wanted to be someplace that was a little bit better, that he felt was safer, right? And to have that shattered as well is so heartbreaking. This is a dad who's trying to do everything, who did everything right, and still has to deal with this incredible heartbreak. It's unreal. It's unreal. Chanley, thanks so much for doing that. And please, next time you speak with Steve, tell him thank you as well, because what he did was important. I thought it was really important and made it so real. And one other observation from him, and you can see it in his eyes when he's talking about Kaylee and talking about the case, but then when you see him interacting with people, the smile comes on, and it looks like that is the medicine for him. Giving back and interacting, and it was, I could see it work right in front of our eyes. So that was amazing also.
Turn on your bell notification.
Okay, let's get back to business now. We're all going to be in court tomorrow. Tell us about tomorrow's hearing.
Yes, there are a couple of key hearings.
Let me just pull this up really quick. So Candy Girl says, what bothers me is the fact that they seem to stop looking. Say Bryan gets off, that sets the case back 3 years. I get why the father wants to know, but he talks to the media too much. I don't think he talks to the media enough. I think he needs to keep talking. What would you do? And I don't know if you missed the segment earlier when I was talking. What would you do if one of your family members were brutally murdered? Would you sit back and cower in the corner, or would you be present and want to be a voice for them? I definitely would want to speak up. I definitely want to keep myself present out there in the media and talking to people and keeping the story to the forefront. And how do you know that they haven't stopped looking? I'm sure to this very moment, as of right now, there's still people investigating this case. There's new documents that are dropped every single day that reveals new evidence that they're finding in this case as well, too. And I urge you to go in and read those documents. Get yourself familiar with them. I'm going to do this for everybody tonight. If you don't know where the case files are, I'm going to drop that for everybody. So you can go in and look at the documents. And if you take a little bit of time, like we've done on this channel, and I just really urge people to do this, and the documents are there, all you need to do is scroll down, and they post, and they have new postings. About every Monday they come out, or every time there's a hearing, there'll be new documents that drop. But I urge you to go in and really look at everything and timeline this and look at the dates and how things line up. And you'll get a better idea of what happened over there, at least in my opinion. But we don't know if the investigation has stopped. I'm sure that it certainly hasn't. And I'm sure that the investigation will continue up until trial and probably beyond, because new evidence gets brought into trials all the time. They find things out. Go back and watch the O.J. Simpson trial. There was mounds of evidence that were brought in when that case was ongoing. And I reference that case a lot because it was a big case. It was a long case. It's a lot of different pieces of evidence that got put in it. And look, O.J. Simpson walked in that case. So look through the documents. It's smart to familiarize yourself with them. I urge you to do it. I know there's a lot of information in there, but I urge you to do it. You get a very much better look at what's going on in this case, or what they have found so far. And you got to keep this in mind too. And I think people just get caught up in the fact that what we've heard and seen through mainstream media or other YouTube channels, okay, that you've only heard probably 30%, 40% of the evidence in this case. Just like Steve said, they know, they have everything. They continue to gather more information about this. You haven't heard everything in this case. Believe me, you haven't. So keep that in mind. And I think that's one of the simple things that get forgotten about in this case, that when I see other creators and I watch some other channels, is that they just go off of what we know so far. And I get that. That's what we base our material off. but you got to keep in the back of your mind, there's going to be a lot more stuff that comes out. I guarantee it. And maybe it comes out in the defense for Bryan Kohberger. Maybe we find out, he wasn't in Idaho. I'm just saying, I'm just speculating, making up a scenario. Maybe we find out he wasn't in and around King Road at that time or whatever. So he has an alibi. But you got to keep in mind, there's going to be a lot more stuff that comes out. And there's going to be things that we're going to want to hear. And there's going to be things that we're not going to want to hear. But it's going to come out in trial. It will come out, believe me. This case
tomorrow around the gag order, Vinny. Steve tells me they're going to watch remotely. In fact, their family attorney, Shannon Gray, will zoom in to argue. He had a long pending motion to modify or clarify a rather expansive gag order. That's going to be taken up first. And then we're going to hear from the media coalition who's fighting to vacate the order altogether. Steve Goncalves and family are in support of taking down this gag order. Let's watch.
About another 8 minutes in the stream. I'm going to wrap it up. I didn't want to go to an hour and a half, but I know sometimes when you stop and you talk and stuff like that, it takes a little bit longer, but about 8 more minutes.
Push back on the gag orders because it replaces the real media with, people that are trying to be the media, and some of them don't do a very good job of sourcing, and most of them don't. And even in the real media, they can make those mistakes. So I feel like a gag order just breeds misinformation.
Yeah.
So that will be taken up tomorrow, Vinny. And then there's also a key hearing June 27th. There's several outstanding motions from the defense about discovery.
Giving your opinion, it takes someone a lot to be brave and type something like that and put something out there and then have someone, come back and talk about that and maybe challenge someone. And maybe you challenge me, but we try to hear all sides. We respect both sides. We just don't like when people get crazy and, bring a bunch of, bullshit that's not true. But I think you handled it well. You put your case apart, put your case out there or your stance out there. And we had a respectful conversation about it. We appreciate things like that. But the thing is, we don't know. We all weren't there. That's the thing. We all weren't there. We try to put ourselves there in that scenario to figure out what happened, but we were not truly there that night. And again, we will find out what went on. This case is way too big to not know.
Worry about grand jury materials, the cameras, the motion. Hopefully we can have our cameras in the courtroom that day too. We'll find out.
Okay. Again, Steve, right on. Gag orders, bring us misinformation and also violate the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. We're going to be having that discussion in the 9 o'clock hour tonight with our think tank. Shanley, Painter, amazing work. We'll speak again. Thank you so much. All right, folks, when we come back, the accused killer. I'm not going to say his name. You know who I'm talking about? Wait till you see the photograph that we found of him.
Anniversary right before. So I have to let you go.
That clip was from the popular Hulu original series, The Handmaid's Tale, a fictional show about a dystopian society where women are forced to reproduce for the ruling class. The series premiered on Hulu in 2017, but is based on the 1985 best-selling novel by Margaret Atwood.
Damn.
And in 2018, the author, Margaret Atwood, gave a lecture at Northampton Community College in Pennsylvania. And now a picture from that lecture has...
we already kind of talked about this. I'm going to speed this up. Let's see. I want to kind of finish this.
Angeles, need her tonight. Forensic psychiatrist have just...
There was something about city.
I think that saw this.
So I
was
I don't think
subject matter.
College.
Yeah, there's not much more with Steve. I think the most important thing is I wanted to play those clips with the Steve Goncalves. We really wanted to hear his story on Kaylee Jade Day. I think it was excellent that he was out there paying it forward, getting out in the community, making sure that his daughter's special day was out there. And I think it's fantastic that he's going to celebrate this for the rest of time. And maybe this gets, an official day out there in Idaho. It'd be great if they stamped a Kaylee Jade Day. I know they did a Maddie May Day. Maybe all of these victims can get a special day in their respective, maybe towns or cities or even the states, the state that they live in. So again, I'm going to wrap up the stream here. I only wanted to do about an hour and a half. We're coming up the hour and a half mark. I wanted to just thank all the brand new subscribers over here, all the new members, all the new viewers, the people that leave comments, the people that come, because you are the people that make this channel run. Because without subscribers, without viewers, without comments, likes, shares, this channel would not go. You make it happen. And I try to come on here and give the best presentations that I can and try to base this all off fact. And, you know, it's what we're trying to do here. It's not easy. This is not an easy game. It's not an easy. It gets very stressful sometimes. I try to stay out of the politics of it. And it's really all I got to say. You know, as far as the Goncalves family, what I have to say to the people that are putting just a lot of negative energy and a lot of negative comments out there about them is this. When you make a comment like that and you put it in print, or you may say it somewhere, can you live with yourself really for the rest of your life about what you said about someone's family, that their daughter and their daughter's best friend were brutally murdered? They didn't ask for that. And the daughter certainly didn't ask for that. And Maddie didn't certainly ask for that, nor did Ethan or Xana. None of these kids asked for that. None of these kids knew this was coming. So really, if you can lay your head on your bed at night and say these brutal, awful things about a family that's trying to stand up and give their dead daughter a voice, and you say these awful things about them, I think you need to reconsider. If you're happy about that, you need to reconsider your stance on life and how people's families are affected by this. And my hand is out to the Goncalves family. If you ever want to come on my platform and talk, I'd love to have you here. We have a lot of supporters on this channel, in this chat, and we're behind you, and we will be behind you all the way through this trial. We will stand with you. No matter what is said or done, we will stand with you. So if you ever want to come on the Let's Talk Live podcast and let your voice be heard here, my hand is to you. You can reach out to me, Let's Talk Live podcast@gmail.com. All right, guys, thank you so much. Guys and ladies, thank you so much. Let's look at the poll really quick before we end the stream. Let's finalize the poll. We're going to finalize it here. Should the King Road house be torn down before the trial? 95% say no, 4% say yes, 328 votes in. All right, that wraps up another episode of Let's Talk Live, episode 8. If you're catching this live, I appreciate everybody tonight. I think this was my biggest live stream. Thank you so much.
Steven.
And we get a lot more shows to do. We have a lot more evidence to dig into, and we have a lot more stories to tell. This is episode 8. My name is Bryan. This is Let's Talk Live podcast. I will see you all on the next one. Thank you so much.